Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. From July 4th through August 26th, if you use this promo code, you will automatically be entered into a drawing to win a set of all 4 Commander 2019 decks. Also, there is another way to enter where no purchase is necessary. See the description below for full details. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. As you can see from the title card here, we got some new information this week. Some of that information is impacting card prices. We're going to talk about it as we go through the video today, but as always, we're going to check in on all aspects of the secondary market, see which cards are hot and which cards are cold. Quickly before we get started though, if you're still looking to pre-order Commander 2019 decks, they do have them at FlipsideGaming.com. If you use the Heroes promo code, you can get all 4 decks for $126, and shipping would be free. Remember, when you use that promo code, it does support the channel, and that's always appreciated as well. So thank you, and let's get into it. Alright, we'll begin with the top 5 standard legal cards that have lost value this week, but we do have one honorable mention. And that card is Vivien Arkbow Ranger, down $1.77 to $5.23. So this card has seen a little standard play this season so far in some of the Simic ramp decks, but I do think it's going to be a card that sees more play post-rotation once we lose a Johnny Adversary of Tyrants. If that's the case, this card will most likely lose more value over the coming weeks, and then maybe you could grab it for $4 or $5. Might be a nice pickup for a future season. Number 5 is Lotus Field. This goes down 203 to 735. This is another Core Set 2020 card. This one is a rare though, and not a mythic rare. More copies of this are getting out there faster than the previous card we just saw, so it stands to reason this will lose value faster. Now at this point, no one's found out a great way to use Lotus Fields yet. I have seen some standard Lotus Field ramp decks, but nothing that really stands out to me to make me feel like they're better than other ramp decks in the field right now. I do think the raw power behind this card will eventually catch up to it. Someone will figure out what to do with it, maybe even in Modern or Legacy, and if that's the case, this card could have a bright future. As for now though, I do think it's going to lose more value. It won't completely bottom out right now though, because it's still a good Commander or Oathbreaker card regardless. Number 4, Nicol Bolas, the Ravager, goes down $209 to $20.38. This card keeps going down in value. It's going to keep going down in value. It rotates out of standard this fall. And if I'm not playing Grixis Control and I'm a standard player mostly, guess what? I'm selling these off right now, and that's what you're seeing here. Outside of standard, post-rotation, what kind of hope does this card have? Right now, not a lot. There is a modern Grixis Control deck that will sometimes play a copy or 2 of this, but really that's not enough to prop up the price point of this card. And also, so far that deck hasn't really proven itself to be any better than most of the other control decks in the format. So with that being said, yeah, I do think this is going to lose a lot of value very quickly. Number 3 is Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, down $251 to $37.90. Now this card is performing a lot better than the previous card, not only in standard but also in modern. However, this is going to rotate out this fall as well. Because of that, it is softening up. Standard players that have decided to play a deck that does not include Teferi this season, they're going to get rid of the card, and that's already happening. Now, this is great in Esper Tempo, and I don't think that deck's going to go away. That deck still feels very, very strong in the format. Sometimes you'll find this in other places too, like Bant Ramp. This is in modern control builds. Sometimes you'll find this in the sideboard of other decks too, like Bant Midrange and Rainbow Niv Mizzet. Number 2 is Leyline of Sanctity. This is the one for Modern Masters 2015 though, although for the most part they're all going down because of the reprint from Core Set 2020. This one goes down $2.55 this week to $16.32. Now this sees a little standard sideboard play, also a little vintage and legacy sideboard play, but modern sideboards is where this is the most abundant. Good against burn decks, mill decks, and discard effects. Number 1, Chandra Awakened Inferno, goes down $5.36 to $25. Now, this card's losing a chunk of value this week, although it's not too surprising because it had a pretty high price point going into the week. And of course, a lot of packs, of course, at 2020 were open this week. Now, in standard, this card's seeing some early play in Temur Elementals. Boros Angels looks pretty good there. Some other builds are running it as well. In modern, I found this in a couple sideboards like All in Red and Skred. Even in Legacy, I saw this Rakdos Artifact ramp deck running copies of this in the main. I do think the early indications are very positive for this card. Okay, before we get into our top 5 standard legal cards that are going up in value, I did need to talk about the Core Set 2020 cards that are not in booster packs this week because there's a lot of them spiking right now. So just a little background really quick. There are a group of cards that are part of the Core Set 2020 set, technically standard legal, but you can't find them in booster packs. You have to get them from other products. These products include sometimes the Planeswalker decks, or the Spellslinger starter kit, or the welcome decks, which they give new players at game stores. You can't even buy those at like your Target or Walmart, for example. So some of the cards have new art. One of the cards is actually a brand new card that you can only get in a welcome deck, believe it or not. So there are people trying to pick these things up. Either they want to collect them, maybe play them in casual decks. Because of that, these have jumped this week as people have been adding the inventory to the online marketplace. However, don't overpay. These cards are not rare. They're a little harder to get than a regular Core Set 2020 common or something like that, right? But they do print a lot of these things, so don't be fooled. You'll have an opportunity to pick one of these up if you really want it. But here we go. Number 5 is actually a 4-way tie. As we go through, I'll tell you exactly where you can find the particular card. This is Hostile Minotaur. It goes up $1.74 to $1.99. You can find 2 copies of this in the Spellslinger starter kit. Disentomb also tied for number 5. This has new art. It goes up $1.74 to $1.99. There's 1 copy of this in the Black Welcome deck, only place you can find it. Also tied for number 5, Take Vengeance, up $1.74 to $1.99. 3 copies of this are in the Spellslinger starter kit. This actually sees play in the Pauper Orzhov Vampires deck, so there are some players that might actually want this. Siege Mastodon. This is the 4th card tied in 5th place, and this is the 4th card in a row, going up $1.74 to $1.99. This can be found as a one of in the White Welcome deck. Number 4, Rubblebelt Recluse, goes up $1.76 to $1.98. You can find a copy of this in the Red Welcome deck. Number 3, here's the interesting one, Woodland Mystic. This is a brand new Magic card. Never seen it before. Goes up $3.11 to $3.99. The only place to find this is the Green Welcome deck, where you will get 1 copy. Number 2, Phantom Warrior with new art. It goes up $3.34 to $4.49, and you can find 1 copy of this in the Blue Welcome deck. And number 1 is Imperial Outrider. We saw this on the list last week, actually, up $4.21 to $5, and you can get a copy of this in the Spellslinger starter kit. All right, let's move on to the top 5 standard legal cards that have gained value this week, but we do have one honorable mention. That card is Finale of Promise, up 78 cents to $11.03. You'll find this in standard as at Phoenix builds, although you don't really see that deck as much this season. We'll have to see if that changes as the weeks go on. Over in Modern, though, you will find that deck as well as the Mono Red Phoenix deck. And yep, those decks will run this as well. Number 5, Omnith Locust of the Royal, goes up 92 cents to $15.67. This is looking good in standard so far in Temur Elementals builds. Also, this is a great commander card. You can either build around it or you could throw it into an Animar deck, and there are a lot of players doing that right now. Also, if you watch Commander Versus this week, they chose 4 cards from Core Set 2020 and built commander decks around them. This was one of them. The other 3 were Kethis the Hidden Hand, Atempsis All-Seeing, and Yarok the Desecrated. Number 4, Escape Shift from Magic 2019. It goes up $1.23 to $16.30. And yes, this card is finally seeing a little standard play. There is a Gate Shift deck out there. There's also some variants on the Gate version. There's also like a Bant and Simic Scape Shift build. Also, some of these lands decks are starting to cut Scape Shift, so we'll have to see where this eventually lands. I will tell you though, I play Gate Shift on Magic Arena, and it is very good. I haven't even played that much, and I easily got up to Platinum, so pay attention to this deck and this card. I do think it has some potential in standard at least. But regardless, this might be a card that a lot of people might not want to buy into because it does rotate out of standard this fall. Although we know it does have a strong modern presence in decks like Titan Shift and other variants. Number 3 is Breeding Pool. This is the one from Gatecrash. It goes up $1.57 to $15.51. So this is a very popular shockland generally because Simic, Temur, Bant, these are color combinations that are doing very well right now in standard. So you have decks out there like Simic Nexus, Simic Flash, Temur Elementals, Bant Ramp, Gate Shift builds will run this, and a lot more. Modern, you're going to find this in Infect and Neobrand, which are 2 big decks right now there, plus a whole lot of others. Number 2 is Nightpack Ambusher, up $2.29 to $3.97. So you might look at this and say, well, I guess some commander players are picking this up for wolves or werewolves. Maybe that's partially the case. However, this card is doing well in the Simic Flash deck in standard. If you haven't seen that deck yet, it's kind of sweet. Basically, it holds back all its cards and plays them on your turn. They have flash creatures, they have counter magic. Does feel like one of the top tier decks so far in this meta. Number 1, Yarok the Desecrated. This goes up $2.44 to $12.90. Now this has seen a little standard play, sometimes in like 5-color Nexus land decks or Sultai Dreadhorde. However, for the most part, this has been a commander card so far. You could build around this, or you could throw this in a Muldrotha build. And actually, I mentioned this last week, but there are still some repercussions from this, I believe. Game Nights did an episode a little over a week ago where they featured 4 cards from Core Set 2020. This was one of them. The others were Golos Tireless Pilgrim, Kaikar Wind's Fury, and Kethis the Hidden Hand. Okay, let's move on to Modern with the top 5 Modern legal cards that have lost value this week. Coming in at number 5 is Jace the Mind Sculptor. This is the one from Eternal Masters, though, down 305 to 136.02. And Jace is still everywhere. Modern Control builds, Legacy, Vintage, Commander, Oathbreaker. You're going to find the card there, too. But this card has been going up a lot recently, so you're seeing a little bit of normalization here. It's nothing too unusual. The price point is just very, very high right now. Going to be hard for people to go ahead and spend $130, $140 on a copy of this card. So I do expect it to come down maybe a little bit more before it stabilizes. Number 4 is Hex Drinker, down $347 to $20.21. This is a little bit of retraction off a pretty large spike that occurred a couple weeks back. Now, once people started playing with this card, they saw how good it could be in Modern. Jund, The Rock, Naya Zoo, and other decks are currently running it. I would expect it to stabilize relatively quickly. It might lose a little more value first, though. Number 3 is Life from the Loam from Ravnica, City of Guilds, goes down $419 to $22.30. This was the original copy. It had a higher price point than other variants, so I do think partially this is the card normalizing a little bit. With that being said, remember Bridge from Below was recently banned from Modern. Now, the decks that ran Bridge typically didn't run Life from the Loam. This was in the more classic Dredge decks that you found in that format. However, a lot of people were stocking up on Graveyard Hate because of Hogak Bridgevine, so maybe this kind of got caught in that whirlwind a little bit, but that should be diminishing now. Also, outside of Modern, this sees a lot of play in Legacy, decks like Lands, 4-color Loam, and more, so I do think this is the card finding its price point more than anything. Perhaps it will start creeping up again soon. Number 2 is Bloom Tender. It goes down $512 to $50.50. Great commander card, sees a ton of play. It has been rising pretty aggressively recently, so I think we're just seeing a little retraction this week before it starts to go up again. This is a card that ultimately will continue to climb until it does see a reprint. Number 1, Paradox Engine, goes down $12.87 to $18.99. Not a huge Modern card or anything like that, but this was a huge commander card before the banning. Since then, it has lost a lot of value, and it will lose more value. Now, if you want to pick up this card for whatever reason, I wouldn't pay $19 for it. Shop around, you can find it a lot cheaper. So even though the average price for a near mint copy in English right now is about $19, you can find them a lot cheaper. Just do a little legwork. Okay, on to the top 5 Modern legal cards that have gained value this week. Number 5 is Monastery Mentor, up $294 to $37.53. This card had a little bit of a retraction one week, but it's still climbing, just keeps going up and up. Sees tons of play right now. Modern Control builds will run this thing. Ceram O's will run it as well. Esper Spells, Legacy, Miracles, Bomberman, Vintage, Dreadhorde Control, Paradoxical Outcome, and more decks in all those formats will run it. Commander, right now people are picking this up because of Kaikar Wind's Fury, and it's just a good card generally. Feels like it's everywhere right now. Number 4, Chalice of the Void. This is the original one from Meriden, going up $296 to $68.99. This card recently got a push from Karn the Great Creator. A lot of decks that wanted to run Karn happen to want to run this as well. In Modern, you're going to find this in Tron builds, Colorless Eldrazi, Urza Artifact War of Invention, Mono Red Prison, Legacy, Death and Taxes, Mono Red Prison there as well, Vintage, sometimes Dredge will run this, and more. Number 3, Sword of Fire and Ice from Modern Masters. This goes up $460 to $71.02, and this is a card that's been hot for a while too. Great commander card. See this in a lot of builds there, but also sees a little Legacy play, Death and Taxes, Bantley of Old, and more. Number 2, Bitter Blossom. Modern Masters 2015 goes up $432 to $45.90. Morning Tide goes up $5 to $49.99. Ultimate Masters goes up $542 to $45.41. What's going on with this card? Well, it's not going up because it sees Legacy in a little Modern play. It's going up because of a kind of announcement that already occurred at San Diego Comic-Con. So I'm recording this video on Saturday. The night I post it, Mark Rosewater is doing a panel to talk about the new set and also some changes coming to Magic. And after the panel, even though it's not going to be streamed, they are going to put an article up with the information. However, as of right now, they did already give us the name of the set and some key art. So the first day of San Diego Comic-Con, there was some collateral they put out, and they said they did this purposely. with the name of the set and also the dates of the pre-release. The collateral revealed the name of the set to be Throne of Eldraine, and the art had fairies on it. So guess what happened? People started buying up fairies. Now, Mark Rosewater quickly came out and said, actually, yes, there's fairies in the art and there's fairies in the set, but they aren't necessarily a primary focus of the set. So it doesn't sound like there's really going to be like Fairy Tribal, but it didn't stop people from already going out there and buying a lot of these cards up. That's what you're seeing here. Now, since then, prices have softened a little bit, but they are still up. We'll have to kind of see what happens, especially after the announcement. Number 1, another card that revolves around fairies, Secluded Glen. It goes up $8.96 to $13.72. And yes, this has softened again a little bit in the last few hours, and maybe it will go down some more. But I do think people are going to wait and see what happens with the announcement, maybe even wait and see until card previews occur. So this is also a card from Lorwyn, and I'll use my one per video. During that time period in Modern Magic, print runs were a little bit lower, so if cards like this that have never been reprinted do find a little interest, then they do tend to get a little spiky. Time for our Vintage Spotlight. This is where we talk about cards that could see play in Vintage, Legacy, 93-94, or cards that are just important to collectors. Our first one is Mox Diamond from Stronghold. This is on the reserve list, but it did get a reprinting in From the Vault Relics as a foil before they closed that loophole on the reserve list. It goes up $2.98 this week to $267.94, and this does see Legacy play in lands, depths builds, 4-color loam, and more. Tundra from Revised. Revised dual lands continue to stay hot. This one goes up $681 to $315.64, and like all dual lands, this is on the reserve list. Mana Flare. Now this is the one from Unlimited. It goes up $10.49 to $57.44. Unlimited cards very popular right now, and you see just a lot of them spiking from week to week. This particular one is good in 93-94, which also drives the price. Another Unlimited card, Sleight of Mind. It goes up $12.42 to $22. Cyclopean Tomb. This is from Unlimited and is on the reserve list. It goes up $15.61 to $141.67. Another Unlimited card on the reserve list, Two-Headed Giant of 4 Eyes. It goes up $30.46 to $104.55. Here's another revised dual land on the reserve list. Volcanic Island goes up $45.51 to $497.41. Scrubland from Unlimited this time, again on the reserve list, but it did get reprinted and revised. This goes up $48.14 to $404.66. Bad Moon from Unlimited goes up $65.61 to $89. And finally, Black Lotus from Unlimited. You might have heard of this card. I think it's on the reserve list. It goes up $1,520 to $8,900. So the reason you see such a big climb this week is because there's not a lot of sales for a Black Lotus any given week, so it's hard to find market data. So we have to kind of go by what people are selling them for as opposed to what they bought them for. And because there's some higher grade copies for sale this week, it just kind of pushes the price point up a little bit. Okay, on to our Commander Spotlight. A lot of cards to talk about, so I'm going to go kind of quick through these. I won't give you every reason the card's going up, but I'll try to give you the main reason. Balefire Liege, this goes up $1 to $18. This is from Eventide. This is a great card for your feather decks in Commander. Isochron Scepter, fantastic Commander staple, up $1.01 to $16. This is the one from Eternal Masters. If you take this and print Dramatic Reversal and you have some mana rocks in play, this can create a mana loop. Commander players enjoy their mana loops, especially if they play Urza. Demonic Tutor, this is the one from Ultimate Masters. It goes up $1.04 to $29.74 this week. Great card for Vintage and Commander. Tutors are always going to be popular in singleton formats like Commander or Oathbreaker. Mycosynth Lattice from Darksteel, the original. It goes up $1.06 to $60. Small climb here. This card has been very hot, though, ever since Karn the Great Creator came out, and not just for Commander. This also did get a Command Zone mention about a week ago, although I don't really think that's what's pushing the price as much as it's just all the play it's seeing. Outside of Commander, you're going to find this in Oathbreaker, also with Karn the Great Creator. You're also going to find this in modern decks like Tron builds, Eldrazi builds, Artifactors, A War of Invention, Mono Red Prison, Legacy, Mono Red Prison there too. Planeswalker Post and Vintage, this is in Karn shops. And again, you can find this in even more decks in all those formats. Sword of Light and Shadow goes up $1.10 to $36.02. This is the one for Modern Masters. So I do think some of the new swords have people thinking about swords again for Commander, and that has caused some of the older ones to go up in value. This is one of those. This has seen a little Legacy play from time to time too, but for the most part, this is just a very solid Commander card. Reese the Redeemed goes up $1.13 to $33. I won't say it again, but it is from Shadowmoor, again from that time period of Magic. But that's not why it's going up. This has always been a very solid commander card. Great with elves, great with warriors. It's legendary. You could make this your commander if you wanted to. But we got a little information this week about the Commander 2019 decks. Looks like a distributor maybe posted information a little bit sooner than they were supposed to. That information did tell us what the core mechanics are of the 4 decks, assuming it is real, and it does look pretty authentic. So if you want to avoid that information, just skip to the next card. If not, Populate is one of those mechanics. This is great with Populate. The other 3 are Morph, Madness, and Flashback. Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre. Okay, this is the original one from Rise of the Eldrazi. It goes up $1.14 to $26.94. This sees a little bit of play in Modern, sometimes in like Titan Breach as a one-of, but for the most part, people play this in colorless Commander decks. Jet Medallion from Commander 2014. This card's been pretty hot. It goes up $1.16 to $12.34. All of these have been getting relatively hot. I do think Commander players and Oathbreaker players are realizing how good these cards can be. We saw Sapphire Medallion get hot around the time Urza came out. This one's getting hot partially because of Yawgmoth, but also just because of a lot of other good decks that run black. And aside from that, I do think all these medallions do have some potential to move. In fact, Emerald Medallion was starting to creep up a little bit this week, but didn't quite make the list. Damnation, this is the original from Planar Chaos. It goes up $1.18 to $36.31. Now, this is not just a commander card, although I do think the reason it's going up this week is because a lot of people are working this into Yarok the Desecrated builds, and also Golos Tireless Pilgrim builds. I've seen it there too. Now it does see modern sideboard play in the Rock and a lot of other decks there. Cavern of Souls is back again. This is the original from Avacyn Restored, up $1.19 to $73.59. And I've talked a lot about this card. You'll find this in some big modern decks right now. Eldrazi builds, Humans, Spirits builds. Also Legacy, you'll find this occasionally there too. However, if you want to play Tribal Commander or Oathbreaker, you're probably going to want this card, right? Elemental decks are hot right now, of course, because of all the cards we got from Core Set 2020. That could play into this a little bit too. Slivers have been very hot recently as well, of course, because of Modern Horizons. Regardless, though, this is just always going to be a good card that will continue to creep up until it sees another reprint. Animar Soul of Elements, this is going up because of Omnith Locus of the Royal and the other elemental cards we got from Core Set 2020. Now, this could be your elemental commander, or you could make Omnith your elemental commander and just put this in the deck. The commander copy of this goes up $1.08 to $15.18. Masters 25 goes up $1.45 to $14.46. Una, Queen of the Fae from Shadowmoor goes up $1.23 to $7.36. This did get a Command Zone podcast mention about a week ago or so, but that's not really why it's going up. Again, it's going up because of the fairy hype we've been talking about. This one potentially could be a commander too, because it is legendary. Akroma's Memorial, this goes up $1.24 to $24.44. This is the one from Magic 2013. This is a card that could play very well with one of those mechanics from Commander 2019. Again, if you're trying to avoid, just go ahead and skip to the next card. But of course, that would be Populate. Polluted Bonds from Shadowmoor, another Shadowmoor card here, up $1.26 to $16.88. Popular commander card right now because of Yarok the Desecrated, and this also sees play in some Yawgmoth builds too. Sen Triplets classic commander card feels like it's going up every other week now, up $1.34 to $34.75, and this will keep going up until it does get reprinted. Scion of Una, okay, this is a very good Fairy Lord, so we know why it's going up. Lore went up $1.25 to $5, Modern Masters up $1.35 to $4.85. Vendilion Click, this goes up $1.35 to $25.50. This is the original Morningtide one. And again, of course, this is a fairy. This is also a very solid modern card in control builds. Also see some legacy and vintage play too. Pawn of Ulamog, Rise of the Eldrazi goes up $1.16 to $2.48. Commander 2017 goes up $1.38 to $4.14. Currently seeing play in Commander Yawgmoth builds. It's also a vampire. Training Grounds is back again, up $1.53 to $23.63. Great in Sliver builds. Also, you're seeing this in Urza decks too. Zendikar's Royal, this is a card that's showing up in a couple big commander decks right now. It goes up $1.67 to $3. You'll find this in Yarok the Desecrated and Omnith Locus of the Royal builds. Aiden Oakenshield, okay, this is one of those gold legends on the reserve list. I like to point out when they're going up in value. This one's not going up too much, $1.80 to $69.75 this week. Kalia of the Vast, this is the one from Commander. It goes up $1.81 to $28.99. Of course, we just got Kalia Zenith Seeker from Core Set 2020, which has brought more interest back onto this card. Vidalcan Archmage goes up $2.15 to $12.95. You'll find this in Urza builds. Royal Elemental, another card that's showing up in Yurok the Desecrated and Omnith Locus of the Royal decks. It goes up 228 to 379. Pale Bears, this is from Ice Age, up 252 to 1371, and of course, this got popular with Modern Horizons coming out, bringing support to the Bear tribe recently. Cabal Coffers, Torment goes up $1.68 to $47.39, Plane Chase up $2.70 to $60.60. This was featured in Game Nights a little over a week ago now. It was in the Golos Tireless Pilgrim builds, but I just think it got people thinking about the card again. Reap goes up 301 to 346. This is also showing up in the Yurok the Desecrated decks, although I've seen a lot of content creators talking about this card recently, which may have given it a push too. It was on the Command Zone not too long ago, and also Commander's Quarters. Mana Echoes is back again, up 326 to 3380. A lot of times you'll find this in Sliver builds. Also fits well into the Elemental decks, any tribal build with red really. Island Sanctuary from 5th edition goes up 340 to 530. So most of the copies of this card have been creeping up a little bit. This particular one, it feels like maybe just dried up in the marketplace. That's why you're seeing such an aggressive movement here. It is a good commander card in Pillow Fort, for example. Transmute Artifact, this is something that's showing up in Urza builds, but it's just a good commander card generally. It's also a reserve list Antiquities card. It goes up 537 to 178.09 this week. Now, if you're trying to avoid information on Commander 2019, you might want to skip the next card. Catalyst Stone, because of flashback support in Commander 2019, it goes up $6.45 to $7. Mana Maze, this goes up $6.82 to $8.23, and this is because of Painter's Servant, which was recently unbanned in Commander. Plays well with that card. Lifeblood Hydra, Commander 2014 goes up $11.97 to $14.49. Commander Anthology up $13.46 to $16.95. I do think this is an indication of things to come. Hydra Tribal is something that I think is very interesting to a lot of players right now because of the support it got recently. Of course, in Modern Horizons, there was Unbound Flourishing. Gargos Vicious Watcher was in Core Set 2020. Now, the reason I say this is an indication is because this is the first Hydra to really spike aggressively, but it's also one that would dry up the quickest because there's not a lot of copies out there. It's been a while since it's been reprinted, and it's never been in like a regular standard set or anything, just in these two products. So I have seen other Hydras creeping up a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised to see more of them in the video next week. Pauper Spotlight time, and I mentioned over the last few weeks that with the changes to Pauper, there are new cards that are legal in the format. We also had the bannings not too long ago. That shook up the format as well. So we are seeing some different cards gaining value recently, so let's check it out. Drafna's Restoration, this goes up 13 cents to 149. This is from Antiquities, kind of an old card here, but this can be found in Grixis artifact builds in Pauper. Pyroblast from Ice Age goes up 13 cents to 249. This sees some Legacy and Vintage play, but you'll find this in a lot of Pauper sideboards. Whirlpool Rider goes up 14 cents to 64 cents. You'll find this in Mono Blue Delver decks in Pauper. Okiba Gang Shinobi is back on our list. Betrayers of Kamigawa up 11 cents to 97 cents. Plane Chase Anthology up 14 cents to $2. You'll find this in the Orzhov Pestilence builds and some others too in the format. Ash Barons, this is a staple in the Pauper format now. This week, 2 copies are going up more than 10 cents. Masters 25 up 13 cents to $2.99. Commander 2016 up 16 cents to $2.99 as well. Echoing Truth, this is the one from Commander 2015. It goes up 19 cents to 98 cents. Now, this does see Modern and Legacy play to some degree as well. But in Pauper, you will find this sometimes in Delver sideboards or some other decks. Scred goes up 23 cents to $3.57. This sees Modern play too. But in Pauper, you're going to find this in control builds and sometimes red aggro. Ashnod's Altar. Now, this is new to the format with the recent changes. 3 copies here. 6th edition going up 10 cents to $6. 5th edition up 26 cents to $5.50. Eternal Masters up 38 cents to $7.50. This hasn't really done a whole lot in Pauper yet, but it is a great commander card, can enable some combos, and I do think eventually it could see some Pauper play. Alright, so on to our premium spotlight. I'll give my disclaimer really quick. Don't like to spend too much time talking about foils or rare cards because there's not a lot of information online when it comes to sales, so sometimes numbers can be deceiving. They can also be easily manipulated. But every week I try to pick at least one card that's moving naturally with the market. This week I went with Secluded Glen. This is a foil from Lorwyn. It went up $22.73 to $39.62 for reasons we discussed earlier. Alright, that concludes the Market Watch for today. Now, assuming the information coming out of Comic-Con tonight is relevant, I will put together a video for you tomorrow and recap it. But until then, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.